See, so as my memories started flooding me, Derek, and they started eating me alive, that Prince concert stood out, and I told Terry I needed that picture. When I first started going to my mom's house, Terry had this picture, and it was taken either before we went to the concert or at the Dio concert. I can't remember, but I needed to see that picture. And as I asked my sister for that picture, she started having problems at her apartment. And I asked her who was the owners, because I thought Bobby and Keith or Don was targeting my family at that point. And I thought the second application really was Keith Ellison. I thought that way back when my mom had me apply for Social Security years ago, that was Keith Ellison and them. And I thought that at that point in time, they were doing illegal shit, and I couldn't figure out what it was. But then I decided that, in theory, they were selling drugs way back. And as people were selling drugs, since I grew up in the 80s, they could have easily brought Scott Lewis out with drug money and brought that licensure. And then as they brought that, they started watching me, because I got 99 of 100 questions right. Then I got 98 right. And I keep saying they said I was cheating, but I wasn't. I just studied at that time. And I was passing all those tests and stuff, so technically I got a cosmetology license, but because Jim Long knew that I asked for mighty funds and he wanted me to go to college, whether it was law school or just college in general, I thought Jim sued for something. Like I was denied access to general education from Miss Creasy, Miss Black, because when you take into account my dad put me in summer school, when you take into account that I was passing these classes with D's and C's, and Miss Creasy and Miss Black just didn't like me, maybe Jim Long knew they kicked me out illegally and that I should have never been removed from public school. I should have never been made to go to an alternative. And I thought that's what Kim Ellison did in hindsight to my children, right? Specific to my son, where they denied him access to a public school simply because of his dad's history. And Amy Jane Getz being around then, working with Keith at the Disability Law Center, got this second Social Security application where they were now lying. And as they were lying, they were manipulating records here as attorneys and pre-filing before I even filed. I thought that they were guiding my life for years and began to try and drive me crazy under that application they did for Social Security. And I thought that they began to give me drugs that I didn't need. And it aided in my suicidal thoughts. It aided in the body aches that I have, lack of appetite, the headaches, the eye muscle tension. That's the first thing that goes, is my eyes. I have to squint at that point. So it became Bobby and Keith for me, Troy, way back when Prince and them were being created. And I would like to think that Prince was just discovered. You know, I don't want to think that Prince was under like a Suge Knight contract with Keith and Bobby, who was going through law school and then selling drugs in the hood. But that's what I began to think. And I began to think that Bobby Joe and Keith for years had been targeting me and now manipulated me. And like I said, I didn't like Michael Cooper after I left Oliver. I never called that man. If it wasn't for my sister, I probably would have never slept with that man. But he was treating my kids real bad. And Renee was like, well, maybe if you fucking Sharon, because you know that's what he wants, he won't be doing that. And at the time, Shayla was asking for money to go to this real job, right? She had a real job. She had a job, but I didn't call it real, like, you know, a real job. It was a job, but it wasn't like, and he didn't want to give her money. She said, I took his change, Ma. Fuck that nigga, he had a big ass jar of change. I said, that's why they're saying you're stealing, Shayla. She said, yeah, but how the motherfucker ain't gonna give me money to get to work? Not only that, he got a whole car mile. He could give me a ride. I said, I know, Shayla. I know. So then my sister was like, well, you know he just wants some pussy. So then I gave it to him, and I didn't want to, but I did. And then Shayla called me later like, Mom, I still need money for work. It's like, what? It's like, my dad still don't want to give me no money to get to work today. I said, okay, Shayla. So I didn't know if he was saying the pussy was or wasn't good. I didn't know if Creisha and them were playing this game. Remember now, Michael cheated on me all the time with other people, and I didn't care. I didn't care enough about him to go look for the bitches because I didn't go to the bitches about him. So in theory, I never thought I had a bitch enemy until my car got keyed and they poured some shit in it. And then the people to the left of me, which mocks New York. And in theory, that makes me think of Delina, where, you know, certain people from her life, you know, using her mom in Hennepin County Medical Center. And like I said, you know, my mom sold crack. I'm not going to deny who was and wasn't buying it from her. Roland and them used it, but they used my sister Renee to get it. During that time, Renee was always coming and getting the drugs to go on them trips with my Uncle Michael. You know, they was having them parties. And I went back to Chicago when Pat and them was living in Chicago and she started dating my dad. I went back way then. You know, I thought to myself, ain't no telling what the fuck they've been doing all these years as not only people, but then congressmen, Senate, city council, where they've used their job as men to target me. And I said, Derek, I would, you know, admit that I just fucked you, you know, because people were calling me gay. And I thought you showed up after I got beat up at the transit. And I said that day I wasn't even talking about Bobby Joe. I was talking about the Department of Human Services wasting money with those little yellow cars where I just put $5 on it. They got an ATM outside now, so you could put money on the card through the ATM type outside. Before, you had to go inside. And you could only do that Monday through Friday when the card first came out. So for me, I said that was when I had been playing these political games and I didn't know it. I now know that they've got me in these political games, but before I didn't know it. So for me, I thought they owed me money either as individual corporations, which I said independently I could sue and it would probably total way more than the trillions that I've asked for, or they could just start making some deals with me. And they said they wasn't doing shit. I said, that's cool, because you just find my body on the side of the road like you told me under Barack Obama. Remember when I used to wake up and I said that Joshua R. Williams gave my computer, him and Amy Jane Getz, they gave it a virus right after that 2012, 2013 bullshit. And I said that's when that Home Choice Get It Now computer shut down. And because I had been writing motions and complaints, because I had been defending a lot of stuff, I had an anxiety attack. And as Josh gave me that money, I had to cash that check and pay some bills. Then I bought a new computer from PPL. And then I started writing my motions and complaints again. And then I was subsequently put out my house and my belongings and stuff taken. And I said that if they were investigating anybody, they should have been investigating Keith Ellison, Bobby Joe Champion, and Amy Jane Getz.